Good evening and welcome to Certified Unscripted, where we keep the spirit of the game alive. We are so happy to have you join us this evening on our summer segment of Certified Unscripted. We know that normally all of us are here, whether it's Ruthie, Penny, they'll probably be joining us. But for now, you have me, the executive producer of Certified Unscripted, and of course, a young lady who has been hosting during our summer segment, Miss Savannah Hamilton. So first off, let me just give you a little insight into Savannah. Savannah actually played at Ryerson University, and her career she was a basketball player, but her career was actually cut short, unfortunately, by an injury. And, I always say God works in mysterious ways because it actually propelled her into another arena, showing her gifts, showing her talents that she probably didn't anticipate or expect. But we're blessed to have her. She's the host and producer of the Maple Leaves Sports Entertainment Network. She is known for her infectious smile and the ability to get her interviewees to kind of ease and just relax in front of the camera. In other words, she's a professional. Me, I'm a novice. I'm trying to do my thing. So I appreciate y'all, hanging with me. But I'm going to let the pro do what the pro does and bring in Savannah Hamilton.
Hey,
Savannah, how you doing, girl?
I'm good, yo. I missed you guys last week. Thank you for having me back. Honestly, thank you for the lovely intro as well.
Oh man, you are. We really appreciate having you here. During this time and just having some new talent. And our thing is to really introduce new talent to what we're doing in terms of our broadcast, putting things out for people to get work. So it's about work and getting a check somewhere down the line at the end. So you do an amazing job with Wnba TV, and we're just happy to have you, grace us with your presence and your presence and your expertise. So thank you so much for joining us,
Listen, the stories you guys have, I couldn't pay for that. Like, you can't find what you guys are talking about anywhere on the internet because, yeah, there's facts and there's stats, and you could do all the research and watch all the old video clips of the greats and the legends, but you can't really talk to them. You can't really hear their stories, like what happened behind the scenes, what was going on in their head during that game. That's priceless to me. So yes, I'm happy to be a part of the conversation.
Girl, who are you telling? And especially with today's special guest. I mean, we go back like car seats to tell the truth, but she is something else. I mean, so much has been going on. Really, I can't say so much has been going on, but the playoffs have been going on, and the playoffs have been phenomenal. If you haven't watched, I mean, it was only the first game of the 5-game series, but girl, it was a barn burner all the way. But before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit something. It's really I don't really know where to begin because the young lady who's on our show as a guest, we go back, like I said, like car seats to high school days. And she is and was regarded at that time, we were young, like 16, 17, as the greatest women's basketball player coming up. So greatest women's basketball player of all time? What do you say? What? She was the youngest player?
Oh, yeah. No, she was the youngest player of the 1976 Olympics women's basketball team at the age of 17. I can't believe that. Age of 17.
I wasn't trying to do too much of that. I mean, I played some ball, but, this young lady was really about it. I mean, she was the first woman to try out for actually a men's NBA basketball team. And she actually played for a professional men's basketball team, the USBL Generals at the time. And that was in Springfield. The name of the team was the Springfield Fame of the USBL.
And Ice Cube? That rings a bell. Ice Cube. She's a little something. So she's the head coach of the Big Three Power in that league. That's Ice Cube's creation. It's a 3-on-3 league we're talking about just before we got on here. But it's very competitive. And not to mention, she won it all back in 2018.
Oh man, I remember that game too. She was ecstatic. I actually put up some pictures of it online because I was screaming for her. But she's a mother.
She's a basketball Hall of Famer.
A basketball Hall of Famer. She's an Olympian. I mean, she just has so many accolades that it's too many to list, too many for me to even try to remember. So why don't we just bring her into the conversation? The none other, the only, the one of the greatest women's basketball players, Miss Nancy Lieberman. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, oh, I like that noise. It's good. How are you, Savannah? A pleasure. We will now be friends for life. Rita, we are friends for life. Rita and I have known each other since we've been like 16 years old. It's crazy.
Crazy. Like good times, great times, you know?
Great times. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm looking forward to diving into your stories because Rita was telling me some stories. Nancy, you started telling me some stories. I'm like, we gotta save this for the show, guys. So, I mean, Rita, kick it off. First things first. Let's just dive right into how you guys met initially.
Oh, how did we meet? Initially, I was attending Andrew Jackson High School in Cambria Heights, New York. I wanted to major in psychology. I wanted a different environment. And I ended up transferring out to Far Rockaway High School. So I balled a little bit, you know, in my neighborhood. People knew who I was. And Nancy balled in her neighborhood. And to be honest, it was my first time really being in a white environment. You know, I was kind of in the hood. You know, anybody knows Andrew Jackson, how they were back in the day. So going to Far Rockaway was definitely a different experience for me. And my mom would drop me off halfway through the swamp road. I catch the bus and I go to Far Rockaway. And so Nancy and I, we met and we looked each other up and down like, you supposed to be the shit? I'm supposed to be the shit. Excuse me. Well, this is unscripted, so, you know, but we ended up being great friends because we recognized that we were stronger playing together than letting our egos get in the way of what we could accomplish as a unit, you know? But Nancy probably has a different story to tell you in terms of that. So I'll let her go.
What you're saying is pretty cool. It is right. You know, when she came to Far Rockaway High School, we were good, but having Rita made us great. And it took the pressure off of me because, you know, I had to carry our program, even though we have some really good teammates. But Rita was at a different level. She played hard. You know, she was conscientious. She was a great teammate. And, you know, I guess we were ebony and ivory. And
what it was.
I was the hoodlink and she was Mother Teresa.
Okay, we gotta dive into this a little bit more because I was surprised when you said this to me off camera. You're like, oh, I was the bad one, she was the good one. I'm like, but Rita's feisty. Like Rita gets stuff done. She was an agent in her time and everything. So to see that you were the bad one, that's tripping me up.
She was like, I mean, her mom, her family were so amazing. Mine was like dysfunctional. And you know, like me, I hid half my stuff because, you know, like I had no food, we had no heat, we had no electricity, I had no father. I was trying to hide all those situations from people like Rita. And Rita had like this amazing family. And I was actually jealous of, you know, the family dynamics that she had, because I mean, quite honestly, I didn't know if I was going to mug you, mug somebody else, join a gang. I had no clue, but I had a lot of anger. And, you know, I got tired of people saying, you know, you're stupid, you're dumb, you'll never make anything of yourself. Why are you hanging out with Black people? What's a little, you know, white little Jewish girl doing playing ball? And I got tired of it. I got tired of people making fun of me because my backpack, you know, my book bag, it was a brown paper trash bag. And, you know, my feelings were always hurt. And I didn't have conflict resolution, Rita. So I took it out on the court, which is why I played so hard. Against my teammates, against you, against anybody. I was expressing myself and trying to breathe. You know, you see me today shined up and, you know, rattling off these accomplishments. I was a mess. You know, I didn't know how to love me. I didn't know how to appreciate me. I just knew that I had to go 100% because that was my saving grace.
I'll say you were in survival mode.
I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to bring Penny Toller in. She just came on, so give me 1 second.
Hey, everybody.
How are you, Penny?
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Nancy. I got stuck at work. And it's funny because when I'm in this setting right here, Rita always say I look like I'm in a jail. No, I'm not in the jail. I just walked out the club to run to my office to get on the show. Nancy, I wasn't gonna miss you being on the show today. So,
I'm glad I'm here with everybody. How are you?
I am amazing. Actually, matter of fact, you could if he didn't go to his car, I would tell him to come over here so you could see him. But you know Johnny, right? Johnny
I
Buzz?
do, and I have so much admiration for the Buzz family. You guys probably don't know this, and you should know this. In 1980, I was playing in New York in a summer league at Xavier High School with NBA guys. All right, I had just graduated from Old Dominion, and I was drafted by the Dallas Diamonds, which is how I got to Dallas. And I'm 22 years old. I go to my house. There's a phone call. My mom goes, you Rita, you know my mom. She's like, yes. There's a man on the phone. His name is Jerry West. And so he answers the phone, and I'm like, yo, who is this? And he goes, Nancy, my name is Jerry West, and I'm with Dr. Buss, and we would like you to come play for the Lakers. And I'm like, I'm not I don't like you because you hit that half court shot against the Knicks in the playoffs, and I'm still pretty upset about it, even though we won the championship. And I was so New York how I talk, right, Rita? So I fly out to LA, and the coach of the team is Pat Riley. It's his first penny.
Wow.
You know those Laker documentaries that are here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's being shown right now. Isn't this one on Hulu? It's amazing. I haven't watched any of the episodes, but everybody, like the one that's going right now. That's on Hulu. That's amazing.
Everybody's talking about it. Yeah.
So, but that is, I was in that mix, with Coach Westhead, and then, with Pat Riley being his first coaching gig. They took him out of the TV booth. They said, Coach Summer League. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you have a new teammate. He goes, I don't want a new teammate. I have the team. I told my guys, this is what we're going to go with. They said, good. It's Nancy Lieberman. She'll be here tomorrow. And he goes, I don't want her. This is not a joke. And Dr. Buss was so ahead of his time.
Wasn't he, Nancy?
He was amazing to me. So I show up at practice, legendary Pat Riley 3-hour practice. I'm on the sideline. He goes, I need 5 guys. I run out on the court. And Mike Tebow was the assistant coach, by the way. Wow. Mike Tebow actually had hair, long hair, stringy long hair. So I run out on the court, and I run through the offense. I make mistakes. They coach me up. I understand what Pat wants to run. I walk off the court to my teammates, and I go, if you don't know how to run that, I do. So I'll be more than happy to help you. And so Pat goes in after practice. This is true. And Jerry West and Tebow and all these guys were in the coach's room. He goes, who the fuck does she think she is? She acted like she was the best player out here. She's telling other guys what to do, where to go. They beat the crap out of her, and she didn't cry, and she tried to fights in practice. What the hell are we going to do with her? Pat Riley tells this story as I'm telling it to you, to the NBA coaches. He goes 4 days later. Matter of fact, I was sitting, Savannah, next to Nick Nurse.
No
and
way.
I had my iPad up. This is like 2015.
Okay.
And I'm taping what Pat Riley is telling the story. And he goes, isn't that right, Nancy? And I go, and Nick goes, you played for him? And I go, yes. And I put the iPad back up and I film it. He goes, what happened after? He goes, you were my starting point guard throughout the whole summer league. What did the guys say in the locker room after our last game? And Pat Riley's on the stage. I actually have the video. And he goes, 1, 2, 3, Nancy. And Nick goes, you played for him? I go, yes, I just told you that. I said, listen to the man. Isn't that an unbelievable story? And I have pictures of me being in a huddle and standing with Pat. I'm a Laker. I've always been a Laker. Jeannie knows.
Man, I wish I said that's an amazing story because I have never even heard that story.
I was gonna say, is this story out?
I know. I just left Johnny. Johnny was just with me, and he just happened to go to his car, and I came to the office. Wow, I'm gonna talk to Johnny about that tomorrow too.
It's so funny because a guy called me this morning, and he said to me, Nancy, you're not going to believe this, but I was in the LA Public Library. I'm reading his text. He goes, I have all the pictures of you from Summer League and the stories, playing with the Lakers. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And there's like all these pictures, and I cannot believe that they have me playing for the Lakers. I never saw any of this.
Wow.
So I've always been a Laker. Kobe knew. I sent Kobe the pictures of when I played for the Lakers when we were around each other.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah, Nancy, you got a great history. That's why I broke my neck to get on here, because I said I haven't seen Nancy or talked to Nancy in years. I got to be here. But I ain't want to interrupt what y'all was talking, so I'll sit back now and understand and engage in whatever y'all were talking about before. Nancy, that's an awesome story.
I will say this about the Lakers, and I'll show you a couple of things. When I was coaching in the NBA, when we played at Staples against the Clippers, he hated this. They would put me and Becky in the Laker locker room because they didn't have a locker room for women. I'm sitting there in the Laker locker room one day, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. I'm changing in the Laker locker room. So I decided to put my skirt, my heels, my everything in Kobe's locker. I mean, Kobe had these lockers, 2 double lockers with his name. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. So I put my stuff there, and I snapped a picture of my heels and a skirt in his locker. And I texted to him before the game, and I go, if you want to talk, I mean, I'll never say anything. I mean, going on because I'm in your locker room.
Oh my God.
Let me tell y'all something. Nancy will have stories. She's the best storyteller I know besides Penny.
No, that's a great story. I never do that. I can't wait till I see Johnny tomorrow and be like, hey, Nancy told me this story because we were just talking, Johnny, obviously, he misses his dad. Just to give you a little bit of this history, he bought the Ice House Comedy Club here because him and his dad always wanted to own a comedy club. And that's the one thing him and his dad didn't do. So he bought this one, and we're finishing up a renovation. And he was here and literally he just walked to his car. He would have went crazy to hear that story. I can't wait till I see him tomorrow to tell him about it. Because his dad was probably the best owner I've ever known, to be honest with you.
Yeah. He was good to me, and he was about equality, inclusion. And I remember the last time I saw Dr. Buss was at the Hall of Fame. We were at Mohegan Sun at a dinner, maybe, 7, 8 years before he died. And I was like, I'm going to talk to him, and I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for what you did for me. Thank you for what you did for women. Thank you for what you did for your family.
Absolutely.
And I walked up there, and he stood up and he gave me a big hug, and he goes, we kicked the shit out of him, didn't we?
Hey.
He goes, I'm not afraid and you're not afraid. And I said, and that's why I'm here, just to say thank you.
Yeah.
And he was so funny. He goes, you're a kick-ass chick. I said, thank you for the compliment.
Yes.
Hey.
You know what? Let me just say this about Nancy. We were talking before you got on, Penny, about just how we met and her demeanor. She called me an angel. I don't know about all that. But Nancy was rough. Nancy introduced me to Harlem basketball.
Okay.
And it's like I came from Southside Jamaica, Queens. And it's like, everybody, who's doing what in the neighborhood. And here I go out to Far Rockaway, and I learn a whole another world exists in terms of really working on my game and playing against true competition, because between the two of us, we were kicking everybody's butt in Far Rockaway. There was no more competition, whether you were playing in the Beach Channel leagues or what was going on. So we needed a challenge, and she actually hooked me up going into with Lamar, right?
Jay Lamar.
Yes.
He took me into Harlem every time. And Laverne Tart, remember Laverne, who played in the NBA?
Mm-hmm.
And he would pack me in the car and put me in a park and say, I'm sitting right here. If you have to fight, fight. I went, fight? Like, fight? He goes, sometimes you're going to have to fight. Yeah. And he goes, but I'll be right here. And I grew up playing, right, Rita, in Rutgers. Matter of fact, Point Gods, the documentary just came out.
Right.
And, I mean, I was like humbled that they would say that I was one of the Point Gods. And they asked me, where do you want to do
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was, she was feisty. The thing is, it was just a dichotomy because here you got this white girl, a Jewish white girl nonetheless, coming from Far Rockaway. She comes into Harlem like she owns Harlem. She's not afraid of anything, anyone. She plays her game. She makes everyone around her better because now, you're looking at her like, oh, hell no. She is not going to do me and embarrass me. But it was just good for us to blend and never, like we were talking about earlier when we were in high school, we didn't have egos towards each other. We were like, look, we could play each other in the gym by ourselves one day, but right now let's just make this team better and get a championship, so
we were thicker than thieves and have always been. You couldn't, in this world right now where people are trying to separate us, you cannot separate me from my sisters. And I was championed by the Black community, where white America was telling me what I couldn't be. Black America was telling me what I could be. And, my nickname was Fire because my hair is red. And I'd go in there and they're like, Fire, you can do this. Savannah, you talked about playing on the Olympic team, me in high school.
Yep.
Everybody said, you're not, again, you're stupid, you're dumb, you never. I got so tired of my Nancy Camp moments because I was poor. I had nothing. I wasn't fancy. I was surviving. But the Black community, they'd ride these guys, Ronald, Donald, Gary, they'd ride the train home from Harlem. They'd make sure I got home. I was teaching my mom not to be racist and profiling my friends.
That's a task. That's a task to itself.
Well, it is. But, the one thing that I will tell you, I'm the way I am today. Rita, you probably know this, but I fell in love with Muhammad Ali at 10. I met him at 19 after we won our first championship at Old Dominion. We sat and he knew I was freaking broken, but I was hiding behind, the bullshit of Nancy and blah, 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 because I was a fraud. And I had no father. I had nobody to go to. And Ali looked at me that night and he taught me about racism. He taught me about respect. He taught me about being an everyday champion. But most importantly, he said to me, Nancy, God made you special. And I looked at him and I go, God too? Everybody.
Yeah.
So he knew he was like dealing with somebody he had to help.
Yeah.
And we spent like 3 hours that night with my mom, and Barbara Wood was with me, Rita.
Barbara, baseball, yeah.
But back at the plaza, and he gave me his number, and he said, seriously, Nancy, you're going to change the world. He goes, I want to tell you about Black America. And I thought I was the blackest white person, and I was like, what do I need to know? And he says, Nancy, African Americans feel bad because, people have told them they're not pretty, they're not this, they're not smart. And I was like, I'll kick their ass. And he goes, you can't kick everybody's ass. I go, but I'm starting to get upset because of what you're saying. He goes, Nancy, I want you to help people. True story, right? And, I was poor. I can remember going to my friend's house and mom would give me food. And I'm like, thank you, Mrs. Conrad. I was always hungry. Annie Erner and Stephanie Conrad and I was hiding. I was always hungry. I was like, I was talking and shoving food in my mouth.
Nancy, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's. I'm sure people that are watching on here. Oh, look, I have Ruthie. Let me bring her in first of all.
And you got a million questions over here.
I know. I'm gonna take some questions. Definitely. But I just want to say this because I know that so many. Oh, here's Teaspoon. Let's bring her on.
Hey, everybody coming on for Nancy. Everybody coming on for Nancy.
Boom. Oh. Wait a minute. Yay. You have just made, I do so many of these. This is the coolest thing right? That we have a great life, everybody. This is the coolest thing that's happened in years.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, Savannah, Penny Tola, right? First bucket in the history of the WNBA, right here. Ruthie carried that Olympic team to a gold while she was singing. Were you singing on the court? You know, that's illegal in 3 countries. Spoon. Nobody wanted to play against Spoon because Spoon would just eat you up, lock you up. Then you have to explain to your friends that she was fouling you, and she wasn't. She was just demoralizing you. Okay, Rita, one of the great players that I ever played with in high school. These are my sisters. This is the history of the game, and we're still here.
Yep.
Yes.
Keeping
the flame alive, you know.
Got it.
But I just what I was about to say was regarding Nancy is that so many people listen to her story and they probably can't believe she came from the place that many of us came from. But the great thing at that time was that there were no barriers or things that kept us from coming together because basketball was the uniting factor. And basketball wasn't black, it wasn't white, it was just that orange ball and winning. We wanted to win everything. And basically we did, even going into college and whatnot. But, it's been amazing to have a 30, 40-year friendship with someone from my high school days. But, we still ball a little bit, so I'm not even shy about it, But as you were saying, we do have a number of questions. Penny, I see you picked that up as well.
No, I just
wanted to say that because they orange ball. So we did want to talk about the playoffs just a little bit. What do y'all think about the games from the weekend? I mean, Sunday's game was fantastic. Seattle. Going at it with the Aces. I mean, what are some of your thoughts with that?
I watched both games. First of all, Jewel Lloyd she's unstoppable. I know Bree's MVP, and we're watching. We're watching Asia, who's Defensive Player of the Year. Congrats to both of them, and Becky. Jewel Lloyd, man. I mean, she's got it going. It's unbelievable, and. I was watching the first quarter, where the Storm kind of jumped on top early. And I'm thinking, Becky's probably in that huddle going, it's okay. It's okay. It's a long game. All we have to do is make a couple adjustments. And that's what they did. And they bring it back. And just to be able to see, I looked at Sue. She played like 38 minutes.
12 assists.
She was unbelievable. And, what Jackie Young has done, you like to see players after 3-4 years in the league get better. She's that player right now where, she comes back and she's most improved, right?
Yeah, most improved player. Yeah, WNBA.
You know that, right? It's your job to make your players better and come back better. And then the second game, I can't lie. I was screaming Candace Parker's name all night. I mean, that's historic. 19 and 18.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Who does that?
In 6 blocks.
Yeah, and I called her and I go, "Don't you dare retire! Don't do that bullshit."
What'd she say?
She didn't get back to me on it.
Circle back around at the end of the playoffs. Yeah.
She's amazing. I know the Sun are good and balanced, and I mean, I probably have a little bias. A lot of these players are our friends, so there's a lot of emotion when you're pulling for them. So.
I mean, this is some great basketball that we're watching. I know on a previous Certified Unscripted episode, we were all talking about who was going to come out, even of the New York series in the first round. And so we're just seeing, it feels like the best of the best. And I feel like the semifinals with the Storm and the Aces, really, we could be watching the championship right now. That could be the championship games right there, right now. So it's hard to pull. But, Spoon, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the playoffs so far. And we'll just go around the ring.
I think Nancy hit it on the head when you talk about Seattle. And you talk about Sue Bird, you talk about Jewel Lloyd. You talk about what's the young lady's name that got into the starting lineup because Gabby wasn't available. What's her name, you guys? It's escaping me.
Yeah, I know the guard.
Yeah, she stepped in for Gabby because Gabby had is concussion protocol. I thought that she was key in that first quarter of asserting herself. And it got Seattle off to a great start. Confidence level was extremely high. And that's what you have to have on the road. You have to have a level of confidence that's going to be incredible the entire time, being a road warrior. But most importantly, they had an experienced veteran leading them. Even when Vegas get their comeback going, who gets them going again? Sue Bird with the correct pass to the correct person, making the easy play, making plays easy for everyone else. And defensively, I thought they were stifling. They were stifling defensively. And I'm sure Becky's going to go back. She's going to come back with her changes, and they're going to punch that thing into Asia so much the next game, it's going to be unbelievable. They're going to get her more involved, get her more touches, and get her game going off early. And I think that's a key for them in their adjustments for the following game. Now, Connecticut, like Nancy said, once again, well-rounded basketball team. The ball goes from one player to the other, and they get everyone involved. And I thought they played a heck of a basketball game on the road as well. The under-control type of basketball that you have to play in these type of playoff series. And I thought they did a heck of a job of going on the road and stealing a win in Chicago against such a great team as Chicago playing at home. And when they do play at home in front of that incredible crowd, they kind of shut them out and they took control and gained home court advantage.
Ruthie, great to have you on. Oh, I can't hear you right now. Oh, you don't have your earphones? I don't think we can hear you.
Well, I go while Ruthie's certified unscripted.
Exactly. Go right ahead, Penny.
Come on. You're talking about Stephanie Talbot.
Stephanie.
That's right, Penny. That's right.
And played well. You know, it was interesting because I know when I turned the game on, I was shocked to see Seattle up, to be honest with you. And I thought it was a well-played game. And like I said before, obviously I'm still going to be rooting for Chelsea. Like, I obviously love Sue. It'd be nice to see her go out on top. But, you know, Chelsea's my girl, so I'm going to stay true blue today. But look how well they play. And we haven't even talked about Brianna Stewart. She had a double-double, you know. And then look how well they're playing with Tina Charles. They're going to be hard, you know, and that's why when the announcers kept saying the big three, and this is Nancy, goes back to Jewel, what you said. Jewel made sure, go, wait a minute, Tina's here, a Hall of Famer, all these things, let's include her, talking about Tina Charles, because Tina Charles doing some work too. That's a great series. I was shocked that, I won't say shocked, because I know, like I said, Connecticut got a very, very good team. You know, Candace needs just a little more help. You know, I look for them to come out this next game and probably play hard. But I'm going to tell you something. I done had the opportunity to work with Kurt Miller. And I'm going to tell you, he's going to have Connecticut ready. But, you know, if Candace can have another game like the one she just had and get a little more help, you know, Chicago can pull it off. But both of the series are like championship series. But two and them look prime and ready, but I'm going to stay with the Aces. They look prime and ready.
Okay.
So you said it when you talk about she needs a little more help. I've always said if Meeseman plays a little bit better, they're pretty doggone good. If Quigley comes alive, they're pretty doggone good.
If she played the way she played in Washington,
absolutely,
and it's end of story. But
end of story.
That game, and you said something else about Asia. Asia played 38 minutes and took 10 shots. I mean, no, that's not cool. Plum took, I think, 23 or 25 shots, and somebody else had, 16, 17 shots. Asia needs to have the bulk of those shots. So I think the 3-point shooting guys were somewhere like 21%. I mean, that's abysmal. That means contested shots, right? I'm looking at my defensive player of the year here.
And look at what Asia going up against with Tina Charles, Brianna Stewart, and I don't even want to screw the other young lady name up, the athletic, let me see. You know, she's the tall girl, athletic one. I don't even know how to pronounce her last name. But she could have been, she's really, really good too. They need Erica Hamby to get healthy and quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they need more than this age of scoring in the inside. And that's why I think the guards a lot is falling back on the guards, But yeah, I mean, Sue and them look like they're not gonna be stopped. They really look good. And
Well, you
Jewel is
said it,
strong.
Penny. It's going to take way more than just punching it into her. It has to be some type of execution with her on the move, with any type of pick and roll. And I've seen them in pick and roll actions to the empty side and dumping it off to her. Asia now's into her game, into her flow. And she is one who's able to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. It's got to get her into a flow more so than just punching it in. Like you said, she's going against some great people down there who knows how to play defensively and walling up. So they're making every shot difficult for her in the painted area. So how do we get her something easier on the move and allow her to get to the rim? Empty side.
Yeah, and look who they got playing her first in the full court. I thought was interesting. And I'm gonna screw her last name up, Magaba or Magaba.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't want to even eat her last name up. She's the initial person that's on in it, and look who the help is. Tina Charles. She got a lot to go against, and this is where those other big players got to come to play, because if not, Asia's in for a long night every night.
They got to move the basketball, because you could put Asia on the second side, and you could make one or two. You could run some false action on the strong side, reverse it. Now you've got her one-on-one on the block, and your players having to run to her instead of just standing there walling up or going to double on the catch or on the first dribble. You got to move her around. You just can't have her sitting there. And I love Kelsey Plum. She's having the best year that she's ever had. But as Marianne Stanley once told me, do you make you good, or do you make other people around you good? And I was taking 20, Rita, you know this, I was taking 20, 25 shots a game. And I just think sometimes your point guard has to take, less volume and get other people involved. That's just the way I have seen success around the rim.
Oh, I think we sorry, Nancy, you paused there. The last thing I heard at least was success around the rim, and then and then Rita came on.
Yeah. Hey, can y'all hear me?
I hear you, Ruthie.
Yes.
Okay. I know I missed a little bit, but yeah, I actually recorded the games for Sunday, and I was hoping nobody would text me the score. I'm like, I wouldn't even want to look at my phone, because I wanted to get home and sit and watch the game. So I was like, nobody texted me yet. So I didn't know the outcome when I was watching the game, and they were really amazing. But I want to go to Jewel Lloyd, okay? I watched her, and I actually sent her a message. I said, I'm so proud of you. I said, you a baller. She said, I'm not satisfied. It's like she said, we got a lot of work to do. And I think, to me, she is the X factor. If you had to get an X factor war, it's her, because if I was Vegas, I'll be trying to figure out, Sue gonna do what she's gonna do. The other players, you got to try, because Jewel Lloyd, when she get going, she plays out her mind, and she's the one that hurt them in that game. So they got to find a way, like I said, to keep her. But I'm really proud of her stepping up, and she really, like I said, I think she just really growing into her own space. And so I have truly, because she's gone through a lot. She's been through a lot, but I'm so glad to see her getting that confidence. Even when she may be missing a shot, she still find a way to do something else. She steps up her defense, and she's even a rebounding guard. So now I'm actually pulling for Seattle.
And the biggest problem they got now, I think Vegas got, and it is a major problem what I'm about to say, okay? But they got this thing going back to Seattle with a win, and it's very few teams that come up out of Seattle with any victory, because whatever they hold in their arena, 25,000, 28,000, 30,000, whatever, and with the potential of it being Sue's last game, when they get to Seattle, they have a real 6-man. That stadium is going to be full.
And not to discredit Las Vegas, because we know how Las Vegas can be in that arena too. I've been to one of their games. It can get pretty wild there too. I mean, so just to continue talking about the playoffs real quick, Nancy, who do you got coming out of the Seattle Aces series, and then also the Connecticut and Chicago Sky?
I had the Aces coming out of that series, and I had Chicago coming out of that series. But I will say this: Chicago is going to have to work hard because the defense. Penny was talking about Kurt Miller. His defense in the second half, in the fourth quarter, I should say, against the Wings, that put him into this situation was unbelievable. The intensity, jumping, passing lanes, rotating, bump switching, cross switch. It was unbelievable. They pulled everything out of their hat. They are a really good defensive team and physical.
Penny?
No, I was going to say, and then, it's interesting because you look at that team and you got Jackwell Jones, who is a star player. But I want to say this, that team feeds on Bonner. You know what I'm saying? That championship experience. And you see when that game would get close, you see her enthusiasm, how she's leading them, how she cheering for them. Bonner knows what it's like to have a championship. How many titles she got? Is it 3 or 4, you guys? Bonner got how many? 3? I know she got 3. Yeah, it's 3. And she knows what it feels like to be there. And I'm telling people, don't get me wrong, players matter, but coaching matter, and we got all good coaches. But Kurt is a really great coach, and I know he's going to be prepared for that next game. That's gonna be a monster of a game. And I pray to God, everybody, I don't care if nobody roots for Vegas. Please, Vegas, go win that game. Because if not, they're gonna be in trouble. I pray to God they come to play.
I'm with you on this Vegas one. If Vegas does not come to play, Seattle's winning it. Seattle's going to win it. You allow them to get in there, gain confidence. And what I thought they did so well was took away the strength of Vegas, and that's shooting behind the arc. They took that away from them and had them to try to find something else to be great at. And as long as they take that away from them, Seattle has a hell of a chance of winning that series.
Connecticut, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Storm.
Go ahead, Penny. Go ahead.
No, I thought you were fine. I was saying the number one thing Vegas needs to do is go look in the second half and get back on defense. You see how many fast breaks they had you see how many fast breaks, Nancy, that they had uncontested?
They had 16 to 0 transition points.
Yeah, I was like, wide open. And Spoon
wide open.
And Sue catches it. She's not a dribbling guard that's going to keep dribbling. She's catching it and throwing it straight up the court. Not even dribbling.
But you can tell that was a game plan. That was a game plan. When she gets it, they're out. Boom. We're looking for the easy. They want the easy bucket. As quick as we can get it easy, let's get it easy. And they did that. And as long as they're playing the way that they are and she's leading them and playing those kind of minutes and being productive in those minutes at 40 years of age, Seattle's going to pull this thing out, and they're going into a crowd that's going to be crazy. That's going to be the extra energy. And then when you talk about Connecticut, you let Connecticut slip in there and get one, you're in trouble.
Okay, so Spoon, because you're saying both sides, which is 100%. You're totally right. But who has the edge
right now? Seattle has the edge. Connecticut has the edge.
Okay, so that's who you're pulling. That's who you're pulling.
Where I'm pulling.
Okay, Ruthie, who you got?
Oh, wait a minute.
I think you might be muted, Ruthie.
Ruthie just don't like talking to us.
I know, right?
Good. That lets us say, Spoon, you're a front runner. You got you go with the front runner. Penny and I are sitting here devising a skill and a plan to get game 2.
I know.
And guess what? Trust me, just like you said, these coaches are going back to see the little things that they didn't do so well too, even in a win. Even in a win. So they trying to see those little things too, because they know they're going to go make the adjustments. So now it is coaches battling each other with the correct adjustment. That's what's going to happen down the stretch here.
Yeah. Ruthie, do we got you back yet? Oh, no, man.
Ruthie fix her thing.
Yeah, so you had to leave and come back or unhinge your Bluetooth. It might be that too.
Wait, you said I was unhinged?
Like the Bluetooth. Rita, just because, hey, you're on here, you're in this now. Who you got?
Look, I think, with the Aces, they kind of got themselves into a hole at the very start of the game. So they had to just keep coming. They, team Seattle went on a 16-0 run, and it's hard to come back when they are running like that. They had no fear. Aces played tight, from the jump. So they just have to make some adjustments. They were out rebounded, if I'm not mistaken. And then you look at the greatness of Stewie, you look at the greatness of Tina Charles. Tina's like going for it. She's like, this is my only chance to actually be in a championship situation. So she's going all hog out. She has no fear about anything, and she knows she has a great support system with Lloyd, with Stewie, with Thorne, I believe that is, coming off the bench. I mean, she did a great job coming in and taking over for that time. So I'm going with Seattle. I think they're the sentimental favorite, but I think from a perspective of the little detailed things, they understand what they have to do in terms of getting that championship. Not taking anything away from the Aces, but I just think that they have a slight edge. It's an ever so slight edge.
And they're playing for Sue. Like,
oh yeah, hell yeah.
They're playing for Sue. That's
but if I'm the Aces, I'm planning to get my first title, huh, Nancy? Y'all can play for Sue. If I'm the Aces, I don't care nothing about that.
But the Aces had 11 turnovers.
You're playing for Becky in that case.
I said the Aces had turnovers that ended up, equating to 19 points. So they weren't even.
I thought them not getting back on fast break gave up too many points when they didn't get back on fast break. My girl Chelsea balled out, and then I'm gonna tell you what was a backbreaker too. And and it's not one play. When you make some of these easy plays and people missing some of these easy baskets, that's why in games like this you got to put the ball in the hole. Absolutely. I'm praying that Vegas get this next one, and then it's still gonna be like getting a lion out of a bone out of a lion's mouth when they get to Seattle. But if they lose this next game, they done in 3.
Yeah, I think so too.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Ruthie.
Now, girl.
Listen, why we got you?
Listen, hey, I don't know if y'all talked about it, but tell me, Penny, who bench scored the most points out of Seattle, Vegas? Do you know?
No, I don't. I actually got caught up in watching the game. I ain't even look at no stats.
No stats.
I'm down there going, come on.
I was just curious, but did y'all talk about I feel like Asia's not getting enough touches.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. Absolutely. But I want to ask you, Ruthie, and on that note, do you think that's because Seattle came with the game plan to make sure she didn't get enough touches, or do you think that was more on Vegas to not get her the ball enough?
Of course, she's props to MVP. Of course, their strategy and that part of Sue Bird probably saying, "Hey, we can't she's Olympian. We gotta let somebody else beat her." So they roughing her up, making her work hard for it. And I definitely know it was part of their plan.
Okay, so that being said, who has the edge in the series? At least, who do you think is going to end up pulling out in that series? That's going to be Seattle or Vegas?
I think a team like Vegas, they're going to come. They got Olympians on their team and they got an amazing coach. They're going to come back fighting. But if they don't come and play like that, the game depends on if that game is like their lifeline. They're not going to stand a chance. But I want to say right now, Seattle should be feeling pretty good. Not overconfident, but I'm going to say Seattle's going to pull this out.
Okay, Seattle. Okay, so we got what? We got two Seattle aces? Oh, you're cool. 3 Seattle, 1 ace. Nancy?
No, 2 Vegas. I'm Vegas.
Oh, you're Vegas too? Okay, sorry. I'm doing
it.
Yeah.
I did not.
Chicago.
Math was not my thing.
Hey, Ricky, 9 points off the bench for the Aces, 4 points off the bench for Seattle. And, Seattle is going to have to, they're going to have to play that same defense on the perimeter. I think you're right, Penny, about, Plum. She has to, she played great. I mean, she had 20 points, and she's going to have to play at that same rate. But they got to get Asia the basketball.
And that's why I say Vegas. I'm hoping it sucks that Wnba. I was watching the game thinking, man, it sucks. Wnba hurt 2 years in a row. Hurt last year when they had a chance, and hurt this year because they need her. Because you look at Seattle front line. Look how many players they got to throw at Asia. They can throw Tina at her, Magabog, like I know I'm screwing her name up. They can throw her at her. Then they can throw Brianna Stewart at her. They got 3 legitimate, and 2 of them are Hall of Famers going against her. And there's this Asia. I agree with you, Nancy. They got to rotate the ball, move the ball, like you say, and try to catch her in some one-on-ones where she can do some stuff. Because if not, her touches are going to be limited.
And then, Ruthie looks like she's paused again. I was going to say who she got in the Chicago, Connecticut series coming out. But let me just recap this whole discussion. by asking you guys, is this some of the most competitive performances that we've seen in WNBA playoffs? And is that because partially of the new playoff structure?
I love it. There's warriors out there. The game is in such great hands, in my opinion. They're talented. These women are playing intentional and purposeful. They have done things that a lot of people like us, we play. They're part of a movement. They're part of something even bigger than basketball, what they've had to go through. I'm so proud of this generation. And now they're getting their flowers. Yeah. They are, they're not on just ESPN. They're on ABC. They're going to have private jets. I think for the finals, is that what the league said? Last CBA, they had some, improvements with benefits and money. It's still, it's still star heavy. The money, how it's dispersed. So a lot of the other players are fighting for their spot on the team financially as well. Mm-hmm. But I think the game is in great stead, and they're amazing gatekeepers.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I got a question for Nancy before I know I just want to skip questions because I don't, we got this great person here on this, on our show today. I just want to ask Nancy this. Oh, I do got a question before I get to Nancy. Who had the first fine, you guys, in the WNBA?
The first fine?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like that's Diana Taurasi or something like that, but no. I'm not sure. Who's your best guess?
Nancy Lieberman.
Okay, wait, actually.
Hey, I had
that's all brand. That's all brand.
And Shaq jumped out of his seat courtside at the Forum and grabbed me, and he was like, no. I need to apologize, but I had my hand on
Jamila White.
I told her for 2 games. I waited 20 years to play in the league. I didn't have this in my, and she kept boxing me out, like crackback block. She was so little. She'd just come, and I was like, you have got to stop. She did it when we played in Phoenix in a preseason game, and then we did it there. And I said, Jamila, I know you don't know me. The next time you do that, I'm going to punch you in the face.
I just want to show people that Nancy was still tough when she came to the league. It didn't decrease. And I knew y'all didn't know that. It was so funny because, I'm sitting there on the court watching. I'm like, Jamila, you might want to make a move. And she was just standing there while Nancy gave her this whole dissertation about
it's just like this. And Lisa was behind me screaming, no, don't hit her, don't hit her, don't hit her. It was not one of my finest moments, but, it happened, and, we moved on.
I was going to say, Nancy, I'm happy that I was able to catch the WNBA when I caught it. And what was it like for you when you knew the league was coming and you were going to play in it and playing against, at a high level against people that were 1 and 2 generations away from your, and holding, more than holding your own, because you be like, shit, I don't want Nancy on me. You know what I'm saying, Spoon? We be like, Nancy, you better be.
Nancy's going to knock the hell out of you. That's what she's going to do. Play with Nancy if you want to.
You know what? I felt very grateful. So I think some of y'all know the story. Back in 1984, 85, David Stern asked me to come to New York, and I went into his office, and I'd never met him. And he goes, closes the door. And I go, why are you closing the door? He goes, because they'll fire me if I hear this. And we sit down, and he goes, Nancy, before I'm done commissioner of the NBA, there's going to be a W. I went, what? He goes, there will be a WNBA. And he says, my only hope is that you're still playing and you'll be able to play in the league. And, I was 25, 26. And I'm like, of course I'll be able to play. You don't think you won't.
Yeah.
And so Penny and everybody, the day we played Charlotte to open up the season for the Mercury, sold out at America West at the time. That morning, David Stern called me on the phone in my apartment, and he was visibly emotional. I thought he was going to cry because he said to me, I didn't know if you'd ever make it. I'm so proud of you. And it was such a heartwarming, because, you know, David can be tough. It was such a heartwarming phone call from him. And I actually feel, you know, blessed to have had that year in the league and even at 50. Because when I played at 50,
Detroit,
it was Kobe who I consulted with.
Oh, wow.
And when I went back that Monday after we played, and I was doing the TV for ESPN, and he goes, hey, you got a few minutes? And I was like, yeah. And he says, come in the room here. And I felt like I was in a think tank, because he goes, so Nancy, how did you feel? Were you scared? Were you nervous? How did your body feel? Were you sleeping? What did you eat? What was sore? Was it your legs? Was it your arms? And I said, no, I respect everybody, but I fear nobody. Ali taught me that when I was 19 years old. And I'm tried and true in what he said to me. But for 15, 20 minutes, all he wanted to know, he was like, and I go, you know, Kobe, you're the MVP of the league. And, you know, you've just won the championship again. Why are you asking a 50-year-old white woman how I feel? He didn't look at me like that. He looked at me like I was a source for information. And he always was. And, you know, some of you that know me know that TJ, my son, he thought I died in the helicopter, because I was supposed to go out 2 days later to coach Gigi and stay with them at the house. And Savannah, TJ calls me from, you know, Italy, and he's like, Ma. I go, what? He goes, Mother. I'm like, what? He goes, you heard. I go, heard what? He goes, Ma, Kobe Bryant died. I go, no, he didn't, TJ. I talked to him last night. He called me at midnight so we could firm up our plans for next week. He goes, Ma, his helicopter crashed, and he died. I thought you were on the helicopter.
Wow.
It was, I mean, I miss him. We all miss him. He was so good to me. He was really good to me.
Yeah. We had one of our followers was asking about that situation. I was actually trying to find that thread in regard to, you know, knowing that you were supposed to go out and work with them and actually be on that helicopter ride, probably.
Oh, I still have my text messages from the night before. Why he's like, we had been talking that. So here's what I'll say. And I think by far I'm the oldest on this call. You know, Spoon knows this because we're so close. Like if I'm thinking and her name pops in my brain, which it often, I pick up the phone, or she'll call me, or we'll text each other. I don't, it'll happen with Rita and Penny. We all have to exchange info with one another, but we're all we have. And you know, yesterday, and I will ask you to just keep her in your prayers. Yesterday, Cheryl Miller called me. Her daddy died yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And she called me and Myers. Well, she texted us, and first thing I did, you know, I called Cheryl, and she was like, "I love you so much. I love you so much." I'm like, "We love you. You have so many people that love you." And my mom died 3 months ago.
Oh,
and she was, you know, my mom, you know, she called me. She was like, "I'm coming out there. I'm going to be there for you." You know, Savannah, you're so young and beautiful and kind, and you're going to go through life and have these relationships. And Spoon and I have learned more about each other probably in the last 5 years. We made that bond at the Women's Sports Foundation dinner that night. Like we know each other, but we don't know each other. And, you know, we have to be there in our glory, but we also have to be there in our pain, and we should be there for one another because we're getting older. It's just the way it is. And then you're going to tell these stories about Penny Toller and Rita or Nancy or Spoon or all the wonderful people you've met. So we're all connected in this thing called life. And, you know, every day is a day to inspire somebody and love on somebody. And it could be the little things. It's not the big things. It's not,
Absolutely.
It's not the money. But I will tell you this, and I'll shut up. One of the proudest things for me, and you know my story, like my charity, we've given over $20 million to the Black community in 42 years. I mean, hard cash. And that is like the proudest thing I could ever say to you, that I know we're trying to make a difference or send kids to college. 90 high school seniors have gone to college, go to HBCUs. We have to do our part. And I thought I wanted to be the greatest basketball player of all time because of Muhammad. But I realized what he was telling me at 19. I have to be the best person I can be to people that don't look like me. And we're in this for life. You can't do it by yourself. 13.5% of America is African American. You can't do it by yourself. We need each other.
Absolutely.
We need each other.
Hey, Nancy, you got 2 questions on here. I'm sure Rita probably going to pick them up because I want to hear it too. Because one thing about being proud of this generation and everything, but I also think this generation needs to know their history. Like you have 2 questions that came up. One earlier, talking about when you see the leases and all these people, but, people want to know too, how was it playing with Ann Donovan, and, you talk about a nice human being and then you wake up one day and it's like you say it and she's gone. How was it? How was your relationship there?
Annie was a great friend of mine. We were roommates on the Olympic team together. I'm sure I got her in trouble quite a bit at Old Dominion. Annie was kind and sweet, and a couple weeks before she passed away, I had just got into the Big Three, and I was like, Annie, you got to meet Ice Cube. The guy is unbelievable. He would love you. You got to come to a game. You'll sit on the bench with me, and we'll have another moment. And I miss her. She had a kind of a quiet, funny. She was funny, and she was amazing. And what a player! What a player!
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had someone here that wanted to get some information and just know about your experience playing with the 1976 Olympic team.
Well, it was the first women's Olympic basketball team ever. I wish they would do a 30 for 30 on that team because we didn't know what we were doing. Actually, there was no budget. When we won in Hamilton, Ontario to qualify Montreal, Billy Moore, the late Bill Wall, there was no budget. Billy Moore and Bill Wall, who was the president of ABA USA at the time, they put our trip on their credit card and rented buses.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy. And we got to Montreal and, we played at 9 a.m, the first game ever. Lucy Harris, another soldier, another GOAT in this game who just passed away. Lucy was my vet. Lucy's job was to keep me alive so the other 9-10 players didn't kill me. Okay. I was 17 years old. I needed friendship. I knock on their door. Pat Summit was my teammate. I'm like, Pat, will you throw a baseball with me? She's like, Nancy, I need you to just leave right now. I was like, I don't have any friends. Well, there's a reason.
Well, there's a reason. Oh no.
So
Oh
Lucy was my vet. I would be like, Lucy, like nobody talks to me. She goes, I know, they just don't understand you. I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, there are a lot of them are from the South. They don't understand how you talk. I said, what you mean you don't understand? I ain't got nothing to hide. Like, this is a true story. We're in the back of the bus on the Olympic team. We're going to practice one day. And Pat looks out the window. She goes, look how pretty that grass is. And I go, it's grass. And she goes, Nancy, it's grass and it's gorgeous and beautiful and it's on the farm. And I go, it's grass. And they look at me and she's like, well, and I go, and some people smoke it. Like where I live, some people smoke the grass. And you should have seen the coaches. They're just like, excuse me. I said, I'm sorry, but she asked the question. I had nothing to do with it. And she goes, and Nancy, on the farm, we slop the pigs. I said, I slap people too. I'm always getting into fist fights. Because Nancy, I slop the pigs. I said, yeah, like you punched a pig. She goes, I feed the pig. I slop the pig. I said, you didn't get in a fight with a pig? She goes, no, I didn't get in a fight with a pig. I fed the pig. I said, I thought you got in a fight with a pig, so I'm going to go sit up front with the coaches now. They didn't know what the hell to do with me. I'm so embarrassed I'm telling you these stories.
No, these are great.
It's true. I thought she hit a pig.
Hey, Nancy, you know what, too? I always thought it was so great. I remember watching this on TV. Remember when Billie Jean King career hit a snag and she called you to come help her? I don't know if a lot of people know that or not. Nancy, because didn't you train her, Nancy? Because I know you helped her.
Martina.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You went
Martina.
and you know what I'm saying? Went and trained Billie Jean King. It's like, we're not totally out the sport because that's how much of a competitor and how much respect she had for you. I thought that was really cool too.
How did that come about, Nancy?
Because I told her I didn't think she was very good.
Yeah, you actually got into shape. I remember. I remember when you go.
Stop.
Yeah.
No, she was out of shape, and I remember those days. You going out to the tennis center and putting her in the weight room, and
I got to tell you, I don't know how things happen in life all the time, but I will say this. Martina and I were in a relationship. Okay, we were two at the top of our game. I was scared shitless in 1981, 82. I was scared. She was very protective of that. When we train, we do this. I'm like, I was just scared to death. And, people who knew us, we were lying to people who knew us, and it's funny. Like I look at like Sue or Megan and, in 2022, you can be who you are. Mm-hmm. You can live your life and you can be a power couple. We were the power couple. I mean, she was the greatest women's tennis player. I was at, wherever I was in my game. But the pressure, the extraordinary amount of pressure that we went through lying to people. Mm-hmm. She didn't want to lie. She lied for me because I was scared to death because we didn't have a league. We didn't have acceptance. It was a really hard time. And matter of fact, I talked to her this morning because she's at the US Open doing TV. And I wanted to talk to her about Serena. And just to see, like I was at the ESPYs with Billie and the love and the appreciation and just how people feel about Serena Williams and Venus, their path is amazing. I mean, I'm watching her win yesterday, a first round match. And I'm like, I'm just so happy for her because she's put up with so much shit and she's overcome so much, her family. Mm-hmm. Here she is. And this kid from Compton is one of the most revered, wealthiest, loved athlete, woman, mom.
Yes, ever.
And it's really remarkable that, again, here we are like cross-pollinating. I trained Martina. Technically, Martina has more wins, singles and doubles. It's not even close. Martina has almost 20 more major wins than Serena. These are two of the greatest ever. It's just different decades. Right. And they love and respect. It's like, I adore Teaspoon for everything she did. I adore and champion everything you did, Penny, and Ruthie Bolton, and, again, Rita, when we were growing up playing. But we're all connected to this thing called life. And once we get rid of the judgment, like, I don't care what side of the aisle you are. I just want to be with you. I just want to change the world together. And if the rest of the world were like us, it'd be okay. Yeah. I like the Yankees. Some people hate the Yankees. Don't look at me like that, Toronto. We got 27 rings. 27.
Okay.
I put up with that all the time in Dallas. I drive my car. This guy won't park my car because he says I got Yankee mats, and I have conflict resolution now. And the guy goes, I'm not going to park the car. I said, why not? He goes, you're a Yankee fan. And I go, hey, do you like the Cowboys? And he goes, yeah. I said, good. They hate you too. Now park my car. Okay. Conflict resolution.
There you go. We're getting better. Instead of fists, we're improving.
Yes. So Tanya had a question. She wanted you to talk about the greatness of Cheryl Miller and what separated Cheryl from the rest.
You know, Cheryl and I fight. We're like a married couple. Okay. We fight all the time. I say Cheryl Miller is the greatest basketball player of all time. And then she says, no, you are. And I said, no, I don't worry about that. I don't worry about, the fact that we all had great careers. I don't really worry about, am I better than Sue Bird? Am I better than Teaspoon? Who cares? Who cares? We did our thing. We're still here. It's 2022. Right. And Teaspoon and Nancy and Rita and Penny are still here. We're still relevant. We have done something right. Cheryl Miller, she was amazing. Mm-hmm. Some people play the game. And we know a lot of people who are great who played the game. Yes. And then there's some people that changed the game. Yep. And that is the difference of goatness. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cheryl changed the game. I see what Charles is asking. Coop wasn't in Cheryl's shadow. She just, there's a hierarchy. You have the McGee sisters. The key to that team was Rhonda Wyndham. I'm not gonna put any credit. Rhonda Wyndham. Yeah. She was unbelievable. She kept the glue together. Like, Kim Perrott with Houston. She kept everybody from killing each other on the way to 4 championships, right? You guys have smiles.
Yeah, yeah.
They were the real champions of those teams. And obviously everybody on that team was great. And Coop, became who she is. A champion, one of the most unstoppable players in the history of pro basketball.
Right. I got a question for you, and then I guess you can answer that one first. But I'm gonna throw my question out there since I'm on the panel. There you go. But I just wanted to say, who would you say are the top? We're gonna get to the top 5 in the league later, way later, because I know these people want their questions. Well, who would you say were the top 5 or the top 3? Because Old Dominion has some legendary players. What would you say are the top 5 players that came out of Old Dominion?
Oh boy, that's an awesome question. Obviously, Ann, Tisha, Medina Dixon.
I was about to say her, yeah.
Medina, who we just lost, who I just loved. Medina, Tracy Claxton was pretty unbelievable. And, I was telling everybody that, or maybe I showed the picture, but on November 5th at Old Dominion, they're putting a statue of me up at Old Dominion, and they're changing the name of a street called Nancy Lieberman Pass. And I was thinking about this the other day.
Congrats, girl.
That's awesome.
Yeah, congrats. They didn't have it up already.
So we were on the phone with the sculptor in the school the other day, and I asked Brian, the sculptor, I go, you have extra clay? Penny, you didn't know I was this smart ass, did you? And sarcastic.
Yes, I did. I actually know a lot about you, Nancy. Even though I got the Billie Jean Evans Martina, I know a lot about you because, think about it. I grew up right down the road from you. And, when you play basketball, because you were so good, even before television, that's what was good. I'm sure Spoon noticed too. You hear about the great players. We heard about the great players. So then when I met you later in life, I liked you because I like players that have edges. And you got that kick-ass edge, So I always liked you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you for saying that. Thank you. I was thinking the other night, and it's still a little ways off. Man, I got a list of people. This is not my statue. This represents every player that put on a Lady Monarch jersey. And there's kids in the future who now can walk in front of the arena and go, man, I want to have a statue one day. I want to have a statue one day.
Yeah.
The same way, you see stuff like Magic Johnson or some of, Michael Jordan or it lets little girls know that everything is possible and that they'll name a street for you. And, we're going to open up another dream court that Spoon blessed me by coming to the one that we opened in New Orleans. And I owe you a dream court, Spoon. Wherever you want it. I made that promise. We just finished doing 3 for Kobe, for Vanessa. It's so again, there's so many people that I'm thankful to and for. I get a lot of attention and I appreciate it. But I know that the good Lord, he don't make mistakes. He didn't make a mistake with anybody on this panel, and he picked us for a reason. Yeah. Because, as Ali says, service to others is the rent you pay for your time here on earth. What can I do for you? How can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I bless you? It's not a mistake that we're here. It's not a mistake that we're sisters. And it's not a mistake that everyone on this panel has brilliance and you're influencers and role models. And we all are connected to each other.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We had a question about scandals, true or not, are part of celebrity, being a celebrity and in the public's eye. You have spoken out on some and have been spoken about in some, but with social media, the worldwide exposure, what would you say to the players that are having situations, I guess, of stuff going on today?
Well, nothing's private. I mean, so if you don't want your business out there, then don't put it on social media because you can't reel it back in. I'm actually happy, like for me and Spoon and Penny, we didn't have to go through all this crap.
Well, mine's kind of lived out there a little bit. I couldn't tell in of it. I did. But,
like now we use it for good. Your Spoon is posting stuff about working with these amazing athletes in the NBA. Yeah. Or I use it for my social media or for my, the big 3, because we want to be able to hype what Ice Cube has done and his investment in us and equality with women. Yeah. I mean, I want to get out there and just put a picture of, a Cube and say it was a good day to his music, because I'm the highest paid coach in the league. I make what Dr. J makes. I make what George Gervin makes and Rick Barry, because Ice Cube said we're going to have equality. We're going to be a culture.
That's right.
This man is giving guys at the end of their career a chance to not have, low self-esteem, depression, mental illness, because you go from the glory. Sometimes you go to nothing. Yep. Mom's got the house and the kids locked down. They've been doing that during your whole career. You're the odd man out. You're like the person coming from war. Had to keep things moving while you were gone. We didn't know if you were going to make it or not. And then you come in and you're kind of like, well, where do I fit? Where do I go? Everybody's doing their thing. Same thing with NBA players. Yep. They went from the glory of their, their teams, and all of a sudden it's like, bam, it's nothing. And Cube has allowed them to segue. Yeah. And kids, I got kids running through my locker room. I'm like, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Okay, I know you're Catino's kids. Okay, I want them in my locker room. I want them to know what their daddy does. I want them, mama and grandma and auntie. I want them there. 30 minutes before the game, get out of here. They ain't answering your phone. Don't call the locker room saying your tickets aren't good enough. Handle your business. We got a job to do. But we want these kids to go, that's my daddy, that's my daddy. And then they can bridge into that next phase of their life and do it as a family unit. I love that.
Right. We had a question on here going back to Old Dominion. I'm not sure who it was, but they wanted to know, what it was like playing with Tisha Penichero at Old Dominion. she was a great one. And she was a great one coming into the league. So,
well, Tisha and I are one. We're inseparable and always have been. And she got to Old Dominion in the early 90s. I graduated in 80. And when I came back to speak at Old Dominion, and remember Tisha had those little bangs? And I was introduced to her by Wendy Larry. And Tisha looks at me, she goes, my first words in English were Lieberman. Said, really? And I've been wanting to meet you. And so we hugged, and it was a hug that has lasted all these years. Matter of fact, we just opened up the Tisha Panachero, Nancy Lieberman Dream Court in Norfolk, in the hood. And Tish, we went out there. We exchanged jerseys, and we wore each other's jerseys, and our logo was here. We were together as one. And I wish you guys could be here. You could if you wanted, but on the 20th of September, Tuesday, we are doing a huge Title IX at my Dream Ball Gala, our biggest gala. There'll be like 700-800 people. Wow. And we're honoring Martina. And then we have some of the greatest athletes, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Julie Foudy, Tamika Catchings,
okay,
Panachero.
okay.
I mean, come to Dallas, come be with us. And we're going to do what you're doing. We're going to talk about what it was like and our experiences. Like, I played basketball against Jackie Joyner. She played at UCLA. I was like, who the heck is she? She running by me. I
played against her too. Yeah, she's yeah.
Like, could you stop? I had no clue how fast she was.
And she was fast because we got a steal one time, and I thought I was alone until I got up in the air to make a layup, and then she was up there. I made the shot, but it was difficult. I was like, who's that? They go, Penny, you don't know who that is? And yeah, because she was sitting next to this Jackie Joyner. But I want to say this too, Vita, because I cut Dion's question off. He had a question for you, Nancy. He was like, did you ever have a relationship with the GOAT, Michael Jordan?
Yes, Michael and I were very, very close. Matter of fact, in '93, after Cheryl Swoops won the championship at Texas Tech, I took her to Michael's camp up in Chicago at Hearst College. So I called him up. I said, hey, we're going to come up there. And he goes, okay. So I bring Cheryl, who just like, she named her son Jordan after Michael. Yeah. And we're doing a drill one day. Cheryl, if you see this, I apologize in real time. And she's on the left side of the floor. You guys are going to know what I'm going to say. And she pump fakes and she goes left. And everybody's like, man, she's so quick. Yeah, because she walked every time. Right? and Michael stops the drill and says to me, don't you ever bring anybody here that can't go left. I was like, man, she's fast. And she's like, she was so fast. Well, yeah, because she was walking every time. Michael was so mad at me. We were there the day his father was murdered. We were sitting at Hearst. And I kept saying, where's your mom? Where's your dad? Because I know his sister, brother. And I'm like, where's your mom? And where's dad? He goes, oh, dad just takes off. And he goes for weeks at a time and just hangs out with his friends. And as we later found out, unfortunately, he was murdered. But yeah, Michael and I would do camps. We'd do clinics. I remember we were in I don't know where we were in North Carolina, maybe Cary. And I came out and did a clinic with him. He was shooting left-handed shots from like half court. I was like, who knew? Lefty. And then it was like late at night and we had been sitting there at the hotel watching movies. And he goes, let's go. I go where? He goes, let's go get ice cream. I'm like, okay. We went out and here's me and Mike going out and getting ice cream at, like a Howard Johnson's or something. You remember that? Michael was great.
You definitely got some great stories. I mean, it's like between you and Penny, I think y'all should do a book on the most amazing WNBA stories, NBA stories. I mean, you've been so blessed to be around so many different people.
Yeah, but pennies are true. I just made mine up for the show.
You're right.
I know. I like hearing all these stories. I can't wait to tell Johnny about the story. I didn't know the Lakers story about you.
It's crazy.
I didn't know that. That's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Erica wants to know, who was your favorite rivalry game against, or player to play against on any level?
In college, it was playing against Ann Myers, because Ann is Ann. She was just amazing athlete, a winner, great athlete. So, you always want to, you have to challenge yourself to play against the best. And I wanted to play against the best. And at that point, it was Ann Myers. And the biggest rivalry for us was, it had to be either La Tech, because we beat them for the championship, but it was a battle. And I was so mad to this day we lost it. Mad. Okay, it's Coach Hogue's fault, by the way. The night before we play Louisiana Tech, we're number 1 in the country. They're number 2 in the country. We're playing in Madison Square Garden, where, Spoon, you have lived your whole life there. And she's like, Nancy, I'm going to take you out for dinner. And so my mom and all these people, we go out to dinner, and I'm tired and like more Italian food in my gut than I know what to do with. We lost by 2 points in the Garden. I did not have one of my best games. And I'm still mad at Sanja. Take me out to dinner.
It was a setup.
Yes.
That's all it was.
But playing against Tennessee, there was nothing like playing against Pat's team. Nothing. I mean, we played them 11 times in my 4 years. In regionals and championship games. And it was crazy. It was always a battle.
We have a question here from Moni Williams. She wants to know if you tried out for the 1992 USA team. And what did you think about, what did she say? Did you think you fared at the time you were 33 years old?
I actually thought the tryouts in 92 were a bunch of bullshit. Okay. If I can be honest, I was 33 years old. That's like midlife. That's not old. But, me, Lynette Woodard, and Cheryl Miller, instead of USA basketball, first of all, you all know this, to be able to play on an Olympic team or play in Colorado Springs, and you have to be in such incredible shape.
Yeah.
And Cheryl came back, Lynette came back, I came back, and we were treated so poorly by USA Basketball. They treated us like, how dare they come here? And I went to Pat, and she was on the committee. I said, Pat, what's going on? Shouldn't people be applauding the fact that a 31, a 33, and a 32 and 33-year-old love this game so much? Shouldn't USA Basketball be applauding us to show the young players what you can be? And somebody, I don't know if it was Jim Foster or whoever at that time, it was like, well, they had their day. Well, fuck you. You don't get to tell me.
There's that New Yorker.
You are to leave that out, right?
But of course, but the crazy part to me is that, like, they don't say that to the guys. They don't say at 31 and 32 or even 34, you've had your day. No, you're at your prime.
Yeah.
That to Kevin Durant.
Imagine.
You've had your day, so you're going to have to step aside.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we got cut on the last day. Cheryl got cut a little earlier because, she was, trying to come off that ACL. And I'm thinking, I'd never been cut before. And, at the time, I was married, I drove back to Dallas with Tim. And, Pat calls me. She goes, Nancy, that was the most horrible thing I've ever seen. It was unfair. They were predetermined that they were not going to let you, Cheryl, or Lynette be a part of that team. And it hurt my feelings because I trained so hard. It wasn't like I was 50. I'm 33 years old.
Exactly.
Sue Bird looks like a fossil compared to me at 41 years old. Nobody's going to say nothing to Sue Bird, because if Sue wants to Tom Brady it for another 3 years, 4 years, we're going to be right here. Sue's going to do what Sue's going to do. Let her be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She's a queen.
So I don't have many regrets.
Damn, Nancy.
Oh my God.
Stop it.
That's
I'm glad this
crazy.
thing's not being recorded. Thank you, Rita.
I'm just curious now, Nancy, because there's always politics when it comes to cuts, especially on Team USA. Everybody wants to play for Team USA, but this past roster for the Olympics had a lot of heat. People were saying that NECA should have been on it and certain players should have been on. Do you reach out to those players having had hey, listen, I've been cut. I didn't think it was fair, especially for Team USA.
I try to reach out to anybody that I can, and I think it's important for us. If somebody calls me and say, hey, "Do you have Sue Bird's number?" I'm like, if it's one of the players, or yes, it's very important for me. Like I'm friends with Asatu, with Enrique, with a lot of the young players. Sabrina. They need to know us. We don't have to run every day with you, but you need to know who we are. And I did a video. I called Renee Montgomery during the season. I had gone to my first game since before COVID. And I went here in Dallas, and I sat there and I watched them, and I went, holy crap, they are amazing. Mm-hmm. They're beautiful. They play hard. They know the game. It really moved me to see this generation, how intently they are and how they want to win, and the competitiveness, and they play hard. And I called Renee. I said, Renee, I would like to do a video. Would you help me? I want to just stand in front of my phone and do a video and just say to the WNBA players today, I just have so much respect and gratitude. I love watching you play. I had not seen you play until I was at a game against Indiana a few weeks ago, and I was blown away by your skill and how you everything that y'all do. Mm-hmm. And she said that you would do that. I said, do it. It would be an honor to just, they need to know that we actually care about them.
Yeah.
Right. Because it can't be my generation and Penny's generation and Spoon's generation and Rita's generation and your generation. Mm-hmm. We are the history of the game.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But we also have to applaud each other.
Yeah.
So I've written letters to Brittany. I've sent emails, to let Brittany know how much we love her and how much we miss her and how much we're praying for her. I mean, of all the things we've talked about today, that is horrific.
Yep.
That is horrific.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Rita, you mentioned it before that last week. I guess we didn't get to talk too much about the situation with Brittany anyway. So, I mean, Nancy, feel free to share any thoughts you have, because obviously, as Spoon, as you mentioned before, you were one of the first, if not the first, correct me if I'm wrong, to play in Russia, right? That you said. Yeah, you were the first. And
Absolutely.
So it definitely hits home for a lot of women's basketball players. I have a twin sister that plays professionally overseas as well. And so, it just changes the whole landscape. And we know how important, those overseas paychecks can be for the women's basketball game, too.
Absolutely. The situation with Brittany Griner hasn't changed. From what I understand, the appeal process takes anywhere from 2 to 3 months just to appeal it. So we're talking about her going into another year, into 2023, unsure of what's going to happen. I'm sure everybody is spinning their wheels and trying to make some things happen, but the reality of it is that basically she's in limbo right now, because she doesn't, none of us really know what's going on behind the scenes, because people have stopped talking, number one. So, we're not in the room, but you can only imagine what she's going through, sitting there wondering what we're doing, you know.
Talk about no freedom. That's a hard one. I mean, again, everything we've talked about today is about winning and this and friendships. She's by herself. And all she has is hopefully her God and her memories and her hope. And we can't be dream stealers. We have to be hope givers. And I believe if we can mobilize positivity and prayer and be prayer warriors for her, we'll get her home. And I don't want her to be a political pawn. And I already think she's a political pawn.
Absolutely.
In two countries. Just the crime doesn't, the penalty doesn't fit the crime. And I think she was set up.
I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get to a question here. Tay Anderson wants to know if you remember LaWanya Pollard, excuse me.
Yes. LaTanya Pollard.
I get tongue-tied sometimes.
You said it right. It's on.
Right? I mean, she was unbelievable. I mean, she could ball. She was a scorer. She played free. She played to win. And that's the cool thing about so many players. Our generation was gifted, was very gifted. And, players like LaTanya Pollard were one of those players. Maybe not everybody, got the recognition that, some of us got. But, players like LaTanya Pollard were amazing. She played at Long Beach State.
Long Beach State, the only player that came out of my alma mater that won the Wade. LaTanya won the Wade Trophy one year, the best player in college basketball. And if they had 3-point shot, he probably would average 40.
Yeah,
absolutely.
True.
You know what? We were watching one time. You remember Johnny Carson's show years and years ago?
Yeah.
So Ed McMahon, and they have these cards, and then he'd hold it up, and he'd say he'd have to guess the card. So one day I'm watching TV, and Ed McMahon says, "Johnny, okay, we're gonna play the game." And he goes, "Okay, tell me what it says on my card," and it says a runner and 2 gunners, and then he says, "Who's Jackie Jordan Kersey, Ann Myers, and Nancy Lieberman?" A runner and 2 gunners. And I'm thinking, like, now as I sit back, we're those like older athletes from that generation that, marvels at today's generation.
Yeah.
And I told Cheryl Swoops in 93 when we were going to the ESPYs, and she was like 22 years old. I said, "Cheryl, I'm going to tell you this right now." And I was maybe 40. I said, "Show respect, because you're going to be a kid in 25 years who doesn't know who the hell you are." Now, she couldn't understand me because she was just player of the year, won the national championship. I'm like, "They're not going to know who you are, and you're going to be pissed. How do you not know who I am? I'm Swoops. I'm Cheryl Air Swoops."
Yeah.
And, and then I remember she turned, 50. She goes, "I can't believe what you said to me. It was so true." That's the runner and 2 gunners, right? It's on the card. It's going to happen to us all. So be nice to people while you're up, because, life is going to flip flop, and you want people to be kind to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We had a question from Charles regarding you coaching Cindy Brown at the end of her career. She was definitely a rebounding machine. What are your thoughts on her?
Charles, we're not taking any questions from men. Just kidding.
I'm late to the party on that one.
You need me to.
We don't answer to men, no.
Carol played for me. First of all, I saw her playing, obviously, in college, but Cindy Brown played for me. Can I tell you another story?
Yeah, obviously. I'm loving these stories. I can listen to you for all night.
All right. You guys talked about, I had the first fine or fight in Wnba history. Sadly, my team had the first brawl in Wnba history. Stop.
On brand.
Stop it. You're out of control. Okay. So I have your number and I'll give it to Charles. So we're playing in Cleveland. Tracy Henderson is playing, and I have Cindy Brown. They hate each other. All right. So we're going up and down the floor, and the referee is standing next to me, and I just go up to her and I go, just throw my player out of the game. And she goes, what? I go, throw Cindy out of the game. She goes, Nancy, I can't throw her out of the game. I said, they're going to have a fight. Just tee them both up, throw them both out of the game, please. She goes, I can't do that. I said, okay, have it your way. Boom, boom, bam, bam, bam. I mean, one of the officials, a big guy, got hit in the face. There was a full-on brawl. And I looked at her and I went, okay, you feel better? You feel better about, okay, you made a mistake. So now we go back to Dallas. Jamin Dershowitz, from the league, the attorney calls me, he goes, Nancy, you have 6 players suspended for the next game. I go, get suspended. He goes, a couple of your players took like 2 steps over the line, down to look. And technically, if you step on the court during a fight. So, okay. So I then had to activate myself for the game at the Palace.
Wow.
I called, oh my gosh, I'm so mad. I'm never going to Jamaica again. I called Simone Edwards. Simone, hi, Coach Lieberman, how you doing? We'd like to sign you. Where are you? She goes, I'm in Jamaica. I'm going to the Mets game. I said, thank you, God. Okay, we're going to need to sign you. She played at Iowa. So we signed Simone Edwards. Jamin Dershowitz calls me the day she's putting on her jersey. She goes, Nancy, we don't have her visa. I go, what do you need a visa for? He goes, she's from Jamaica, man. I go, she's from Jamaica? She called me from Jamaica. I was like, oh my God, this thing is just, the wheels are already off. So now I said to him, what do you want me to do? You want us to cancel the game? Because the game, we're playing in an hour. There's 10,000 people in the arena. He goes, Nancy, I'll do it alphabetically. I'll let you find one player that's suspended and let her play. Astu Njai, Diata. So I call her husband Usman. I go, Usman, it's coach. I'm in the locker room. We got to have Astu play. He goes, she's in the supermarket. I said, what supermarket? Well, she's at the Piggly Wiggly down. So I'm like this in the lot. There's no handbook for being a first-time coach. I'm like Piggly Wiggly on Auburn Road. Hi, my name is Nancy Lieberman. I coach. Is this customer service? Yes, ma'am. Good. You have a woman, I don't know what aisle she's on, but could you page Stu Njai and tell her it's an emergency? Stu comes to customer service. She goes, Coach, how are you? I go, not really good. I'm like, dude, leave the wagon and just come to the arena right now. We'll tape you when you're on the bench, but I need you in the arena. But I'm suspended. Stu, this is not story time. I need you at the arena right now. She comes to the arena. She's in clothes. She's on the bench in clothes. I put her uniform over her. And Jamin calls me. He goes, do you have enough players? I said, yeah. Stu's dressed for the game. She had on like clothes and slippers. And I put her uniform over that. And I go, yeah, she's dressed. Uh-huh. And so she had to go back into the locker room, actually take her clothes off, put the jersey on, come back out, tape her on the bench.
And go from there.
Yeah.
Oh my! I need to see this. Like, do you have photos or anything of this?
So
go ahead.
I'm sure you do somewhere. I know you do.
This needs to be an animated series then. Like, if you don't got photos, like, we need to make a whole animated series of these things. This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the worst part is Dominique Canty. She comes in my office. She goes, Coach, I didn't do anything. I swear I was trying to break people up. So I get on the phone with Val Ackerman and, the attorney. I'm like, look, Dominique Canty did nothing. She was a peacemaker in this whole thing, and I cannot believe you suspended her. They say, Nancy, stay right there. We're sending you the in-arena feed, not the TV feed. Penny, Dominique Canty is in the middle of the fight like this. Haymakers. And I'm like,
oh my God.
I call her back in my office with her agent, and I go, I am so glad you were the humanitarian. I don't know what I would do with you. I said, can I play this tape for you? With her agent. And there she is in the middle, uppercut, side. I mean,
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
at what point did you feel that you were breaking up the fight? At any point, I go, don't you ever lie to me again. I will never go to the wall for you. You broke my trust. And
Absolutely.
he got suspended for 3-4 games. I'm like, don't do that.
Well, they learned. We're going to take a couple more questions because it's getting late. And I know most of us have someplace to go, being on different coasts and everything. But we did have a question from Heaven Burt. She wanted to know what you actually learned from playing in the G League.
Coaching and yeah.
The coaching, rather.
I'm actually when I was hired by the Legends back in 2010, and my first season was 2011. I'm really grateful to Donnie Nelson, the former president of the Mavs, because when he hired me, he just kind of looked at me weird, like, I still have your number, right? I go, Donnie, you've had it for 20 years. Yes. And he goes, we must have had 6-7 meetings at Starbucks in Plano. And one day he goes, I went home yesterday and I talked to my wife and my daughter, and it dawned on me, maybe the best man for the job is not a man. Maybe it's a woman.
Absolutely.
He goes, you check every box. You've played, you've coached, you've played in men's minor leagues, you've been a head coach. He says, I want you to be the coach of my team. And I say, Donnie, you're going to kind of get your butt kicked on this. I don't know if people are ready for it. He goes, sister, I'm going to the press conference with you tomorrow. At like 3 a.m, I got a text from Donnie Nelson. It says, I will see you tomorrow. I still have it. He goes, this is what Martin Luther King marched and died for. And my response was, a 50-year-old white man quoting Martin Luther King? Really? I'll see you tomorrow.
You're crazy. Crazy as always.
That was it.
We had another question. We're going to take maybe 2 more questions. Like I said, it's getting late. We're going to let you get out of here. We thank you for your time. One question had to do with what advice would you give your younger self, knowing your life, career, how your life and career turned out?
Well, one is never stop working, wanting, or dreaming, because everything is possible if you work hard. I mean, everything's on the table for this generation. You just have to put yourself in the right place. Life is not about a resume any longer. It's about relationships. And I don't do anything transactional. I only do things relational because it means more. And back in my early days, because of how I grew up, and I think I was in the money grab business at 25, 26, like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. There was no meaning. And what I do now is purposeful. And I try to do things with intention that I know is going to help somebody else, not just me. God blesses and rewards those choices every day.
Right. So one of our last questions would be, how can the WNBA get better overall as a league? A number of people are asking, what do you think about a G League for the women? Because we do have so many players that are talented and not in the league. What would you say in terms of the league getting better or expanding? I mean, we already know they talked about expansion.
Definitely the WNBA is continuing to get better, but I always say, basketball is not Skittles. Everybody doesn't get to have one. Okay. It's a business. It's not like a girls' club. If Spoon wasn't qualified to coach in the NBA, she wouldn't be coaching in the NBA.
Mhm.
As much as we emotionally want women coaching in the NBA, or when me or Becky or Jenny Boo or whomever, you have to earn the right to be there. The WNBA will continue to get better. We have to increase our revenues. Increase revenues. If you increase revenues, more people are in the stands, more people are buying merchandise. I mean, you have to treat it like a business. The more fans that are in demand of the product, it is reflective on TV. The fact that there's more eyeballs on us every time ESPN puts us on ABC, the common person gets to go, wow, I didn't know how good they were. As the sports fan goes to ESPN or ESPN2. A lot of moms don't go there. That's not their thing. They'll surf on CBS or ABC or NBC. So now you're getting to see us. The more we can be on those higher profile channels, it's going to take time. We're so farther ahead in year 26 than the NBA was in their 75 plus year history.
Okay.
They were playing in the Armory. In 1967-68, Phil Jackson he signed a 2-year contract for $25,000. He signed a contract, I believe, for $12,000 one year and $13,000 the next year.
Right.
We've got women making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's only going to grow and get better. And if we can get enough money to expand rosters, because it's not fair.
Nancy, can I pick your mind on something real quick? Because I love what you said in terms of it's a business and a part of that is money, but you're also a broadcaster at the same time. And this is the industry that, I'm my personal stuff I'm in. And so I'd like to hear both sides of the coin for you, because it bothers me personally when I hear stats and I literally just Googled it right now to make sure I have the correct numbers. But in 2021, the average viewership for MLS soccer, just a regular MLS game, was 285,000. And then this past year, and I don't think that wavered too much, but this past year, the WNBA regular season averaged 372,000. So the numbers are different, drastically different, almost 100,000 eyeballs different. Yet the WNBA is on a contract, and I don't know, I can't pull up the exact numbers, but from I heard recently, around a $10 million broadcast contract, while the MLS is on I believe a $250 million broadcast contract. So we think about making money in this league. I'm thinking, where's the money in the broadcast? Because the viewers, they're worth something. So I just like to hear your overall thoughts on both sides of the coin.
Well, you hit it on the head. A cereal is not a cereal until you see it on Saturday morning cartoons, and everybody wants it. Kids want it. The money that allows all these professional men's league to pay extraordinary amounts of money is the fact that they're getting that money from their TV deals. And I think I could be wrong. You can double check me on this, but I think when the next CBA comes up in a couple years for the NBA, I think that that's going to be a game changer, because these teams are going to be making it's going to be in the trillions of dollars. And then they can pass a portion of that down to the players, and they can use some of that money for the G League. Now you can fund other entities. So before it's just my opinion, and I think emotionally, I'd love to see a G League for women. But we have to first make, the concentric circle is the WNBA. We have to make that solid. Right. And if you see, here's what I see as a TV person, and I was really happy to see the players, the fans in the stands. TV can cut it. If you're watching a women's game and you only see 1 or 2 rows behind when you're watching it, that means there's nobody in the stands, and they're trying to just cut it. What I saw in the game in Vegas, what I saw in the game in Chicago, they were panning up higher like they do in an NBA game. So that told me that there were thousands of people in the arena for that game. We need thousands of people 18 times a year in those games. And we, women, We have to have some ownership here. We're terrible tippers. I ask women all the time, do you have season tickets? I bought 10 season tickets for the Wings. I'm like, do you have season tickets? If your daughter went to college or played, or support them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Most of the season tickets are purchased by men. So we can't beat men down all the time for not supporting us. Spoon's been championed by men. I have been championed by men. Every major job I've ever had, I've been hired by men.
And then, you know what, just to piggyback off of that, a lot of times, if you think about it, women aren't making the money that men make. So they're going to take their money and put it towards, maybe their children or food they have to buy, where, men are making a large amount. It's a big gap between it. So it's nothing for them to purchase a $300 ticket, or, during the playoffs, some of the tickets were like $900, $700. It's like, I'm not doing that. That's a car note, or whatever the case might be. So,
but Rita, you're right. So, when we get to the economic summit in Switzerland in January, and I'm going to go to the economic summit, hopefully to speak there. Women are 130. No matter what we do today, first of all, women still make 80 cents on the dollar, and women of color make between 57 and 68 cents on the dollar, lowest on the totem pole. That is not fair. Okay. It will take 132 years as of today to close the pay gap. That's why I say voting rights for women, the equitable pay, the pay rights for women, and Title IX are three of the most important laws that were instituted for women. It's such a bigger picture, and this is just a byproduct of inequity in our country for women.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to get ready. We appreciate you coming. We have one last question regarding how it felt to walk Hortensia into the Hall of Fame. Kenny's been patiently waiting and jostling me verbally. So he'd like to know, how was it walking her into the Hall of Fame?
First of all, the cool thing about the Hall of Fame, and Spoon knows this, it's a tight group. And to get into the Hall of Fame, to get inducted, a Hall of Famer has to enshrine a Hall of Famer. It's pretty cool. When you are asked to enshrine somebody, it's okay. I'm getting chills now. And when Hortensia called me and asked me if I would enshrine her, it meant the world to me, because we had competed against each other. We were friends.
Right.
And it's the absolute honor. And in a couple weeks, I'm going to have that same feeling. And I've enshrined, 2 or 3 people previously. Mm-hmm. Del Harris has asked me to enshrine him, which is so super cool, with Coach Cal, George Raveling, which is unbelievable. And Marianne Stanley, my college coach, my friend, someone who I dearly love, has asked me as well to enshrine her. And I don't know if there's a better compliment in the world than for somebody to say, I'd like for you to do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, we truly, truly appreciate you. Any last words, Teaspoon, that you'd like to impart upon our audience?
No, I just want to thank Nancy. I haven't gotten to say it to her while everyone's listening, but she knows what she means to me. Nancy, you know how much I love you, but I just want to make sure it's known to the world how much you always step up to be of support to me. Anytime I need you, I can pick the phone up and talk to you. But not only what you do with the game of basketball, Nancy, but it's what you do in the communities with your foundation and how you reach out to give so much of yourself to make sure that others have. And that means so much to all of us to watch what you're doing and how you do it. And you do it with such, you're just so happy to make others happy. I got an opportunity to watch you in action, and it's a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I thank you for who you are. I thank you for the things that you do and the things that you continue to do. And I pray that we continue to stay connected, because I love you and I thank you for everything. I truly appreciate you as a tremendous friend. I love you very, very much.
I love you too. Thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. So we want to thank you for taking the time because I know you are busy, girl. I mean, you are super busy.
Yes,
To all
ma'am.
our followers who are out there, you know, Trisha, Rita Feast, Dion Hoop Page, Kenny, Danelle Jackson, Tay Tay, Erica,
Yeah.
all of you, we appreciate you tuning in and just staying close to us during our summer segment. We'll be back in full throttle going into September with some extra special guests for you. Going into Labor Day, we are off on Tuesday, but we will get back into it that Wednesday or Thursday because of the playoffs. So, you know, just stick with us. And Nancy, you know I love you. We go back like car seats for real. And sisters for life.
Thank you. Love you too. Thank you, Savannah. Pleasure
Thank you.
to see you, and good luck in everything you're doing.
Well, I appreciate you, Nancy. Thank you for sharing the space with us.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
All right, have a great one. We're not new to this. We are true to this because we are certified.
Unscripted.
Unscripted. Thank you for watching, folks. Talk to you soon. Have a good night.
Deuces.
Thank you, Savannah.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Awesome.
Nancy is absolutely lovely, and I expected nothing less.
I'm trying to end the program.